Yes, everybody, welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or, of course, if you are watching on our fast-growing YouTube channel, that is Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, for our Scouting Report podcast series, our director of basketball recruiting is also an analyst for us. You guys know the name, David Sisk. And David, just like I said, we're here for another episode of our Scouting Report series, and in this one, here to talk about one of Carolina's latest offers in the 2024 class, and that's five-star shooting guard Tre Johnson out of Dallas, Texas, attends Lake Highlands High School there in Dallas. So a guy that has just attracted a ton of attention from schools across the country. Number 3 player in the 2024 class right now as well. But before we go a little more in-depth on Johnson and UNC and all that jazz, I want to give a shout out once again to our sponsor, as this podcast is brought to you by The Rogue Shop. You guys know we love them. I can't say it enough, can't stress it enough. Check them out at rogueshop.com. The highest quality CBD Delta 8, Delta 9 products in the business. I can guarantee you that. We got a couple people on staff who absolutely love them. I got my fiance using the cream like it's nobody's business. My parents love that stuff too. So guys, check them out. Hit them up, rogueshop.com. And please use your promo code TARHEELS10 to save on your order as well. And once again, I'll put the link to their website in the description below. And Tar Heel Illustrated as a whole, everybody that's used their products absolutely loves them. We can't speak highly enough of them. So check them out, rogueshop.com. Link is below. Okay, I about to call you AJ. I've done so many podcasts with AJ in my days. It's almost like automatic for me now. So David, apologies for that one, man. We're here to talk about Tre Johnson in this one. And I think when you look at his recruitment sheet, you look at his body of work, you can kind of realize pretty quickly why he's the number 3 player in the 2024 class right now. 6'6", 180-pound shooting guard, over 15 offers from schools across the country. A lot of blue bloods in there. I'm talking Duke, Baylor, Auburn, Kansas, Kentucky, and, of course, UNC, who actually just offered him early, I think around June 20th, June 22nd is when Carolina officially offered him, or at least when the news broke about that. So he's one of the freshest offers on Carolina's 2024 list right now. And like I said, he's just one of the best players in the country in that 2024 class, and a guy that basically every school in the country would take. So, David, you got to see him play over Memorial Day weekend at the Nike EYBL event in Louisville. You also have done a few kind of interviews and reports on him for the Kentucky Rivals website as well, which you're a part of too. So I know he's a guy you're extremely familiar with. You've seen play, talked to him a little bit too. So David, I'm a guy who's kind of new to the Tre Johnson train, just like a lot of Carolina fans are right now because his offer is so fresh. So what can you tell us about the type of player Tre Johnson is?
When Hubert Davis, I don't know where I got Hubert Jackson.
It's like me calling you AJ, man. It's just, what are we doing?
I was thinking about GG. But when Hubert Davis offered Tre Johnson, he was sending out a signal to everybody, okay, I'm going to go after the very best now. And we talked about that when Hubert took over, and you saw a lot of the guys that they were offering were between the 25 and 100 range. And, there weren't any guys really in the top 5, top 10. Then GG Jackson and Simeon Welcher, they move it up a little bit more. Obviously, GG is the top player in the country in the 2030 class. And he has been now for the last 2 ranking cycles that's come out by Rivals. Then you've got Simeon Welcher, who's been borderline top 10. Now, you would ask the question, well, if you've got a commitment from the number 1 guy, why are you saying that Hubert is sending out the signal that we're going after the top guys when they've already got the number 1 guy in 23 in hand? GG, obviously, from Columbia was right there.
Yeah.
Beside North Carolina. So it was an obvious that they were going to go after him. And it was really, now they won that blue blood recruit. It was North Carolina and Duke. Tobacco Road, blue blood battle.
Yeah, familiar.
But now with Tre Johnson in Dallas, like you said, you've got a guy now who's got North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky. who's got all those offers. Gigi didn't have all those offers from all four of those blue bloods. This guy does. He's the first one that's had an offer from all four. And the next thing is he's off the East Coast. You know, he's in Dallas. And a lot of those guys coming out of there are really kind of in Kansas's wheelhouse, you know, Big 12 country. And then you have in-state basketball has been so good in Texas and college the last few years that, you know, Baylor and Texas and Texas Tech and all of them, you know, they have a major – Houston, they have a major input now into the big-time guys' recruitment, trying to build a fence around that state. So they've gone out and so, okay, we don't care where they're at, anywhere in the country, we're going to go after – we're North Carolina, we're going to go after the best players. So Hubert's fired that shot. He is a dynamic. He's like you would expect from a number 3 player in the country. If you went and watched, if you're out there listening, if you went and watched the game, you say, okay, he's a number 3 player in the country. He's going to beat our local high school. You would have expectations of what to expect from that player at a shooting guard spot. He fulfills all that. You know, just one of those guys. It's just dynamic. Guys, like
you can
that,
just tell.
They look different. The shots that they make are different. It's just he can go, you know, 1-on-5, no problem. And, you know, you can put the whole team on him. He's still going to pretty well get what he wants to get. He's one of those guys. He dropped a spot in the last ranking, but here's the thing to keep in mind in 2024. This has been and will be a continuous battle between Ian Jackson, who has a North Carolina offer, Nos Cunningham, who has North Carolina interest, and Tre Johnson, who now has a North Carolina offer. Those 3 are going to battle this thing throughout in the class of 24, who's going to be the top player in the country. So he's number 3, but that's no reason to really panic because you've got, like I said, 3 guys going to fight it out. He needs to get a little bit stronger. He needs to work on the handles just a little bit. That's one reason he's considered more of a 2 guard than he is a point guard, because he is a little bit more about scoring, but he needs to tighten those handles up. The ball is going to be in his hands a lot. That's the only thing I would look at him and say really he needs to do and get in the weight room a little bit. But he's young. You got to remember, he's not even started his junior year of high school yet.
Yeah.
In Louisville, I sat and watched him play with Rod Strickland, sat right beside me, who was the G League Ignite director. And it was a big priority for G League Ignite. Well, Strickland today, as we tape this, was named new head coach at Long Island University. So it kind of makes you wonder if this NIL and all that has not really kind of damaged what they're trying to accomplish there and made it harder for them. Because that does not – I'm sure he wants to be a head coach, but it still doesn't seem like a step up to me.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, well, that happening – you know, the pro rumors have always kind of swirled around him, but it just kind of makes me think, well, that happening, that he's really going to be looking the college route more. So, you know, for Davis, he's tossed a hat in the ring, and the big boys are after him.
Yeah, no, he's getting chased by just about everybody. What kind of, as a shooting guard, what kind of player is he? A guy that jacks up threes? Is he a guy that does a little bit of both? What kind of player is he in that respect?
A little bit of both. He puts you in the defensive, and it's going to depend how you guard him, but he can set you up for what he wants. He's just one of those guys. Whatever you give him, he's going to take.
He's that good, yeah.
Yeah, so he can shoot the 3, and if you crowd him and run guys at him where he can't get it, he's going to put the ball on the floor. You know, things like that. So. Like I said, that's the one thing I noticed at the 2 guard spot. He was kind of one of those guys from the games I saw. He's not a guy coming off screens, off the catch and shoot into it. He was more in isolation. So, like when that happens, more kind of you're either in the ball screen or you're in the clear out. So those were the situations that I saw him in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a guy I'm gonna have to see a little bit more. I've seen a little bit of film on him because it's kind of early on. But
I'm gonna tell you where he took off. They played Richardson High School in Dallas, who Richardson made a strong run as not only the best public school in the state of Texas, but the best public school in the country. Made a strong run at that. And I would have put them probably in the top 3 in all the public schools in the country last year. They played Richardson, and Cason Wallace played for Kentucky. And he also had another guards going to Alabama. So their starting backcourt went to Kentucky, Alabama. Well, John Calipari came to the game, and he already had a commitment from Cason Wallace. Jai Lucas, who was assistant there, is now the assistant coach at Duke, came to the game. And they were there to see Cason Wallace. And as the who was McDonald's All-American, whatever, he won everything there was to win. And he got lit up by 37 by
I saw that
as a sophomore. So that's when he really, everybody's like, whoa, this guy is he's the real deal. So that's when really, I think they already knew he was good, and that's when it went to a whole new level.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked about it in the KM Scott scouting report series that we did. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, guys. About, when you get up to the upper echelon of the recruiting, your top 5, top 10 guys, a lot of these recruiters or raiders, or for lack of a better word, are looking for that big game takeover ability. And like you said right there, I think that kind of alludes that he has that. And that's probably, among a lot of other things, why he's rated as high as he is, because having that big game takeover it elevates you a lot.
It's harder to do in AAU than it is in high school, because a lot of times, you're playing talent that's all across the board a little bit better, but you're also going to have more scoring situations, because generally when you're like that, you're the guy. So don't be surprised when you see Lake Highlands next year, and you'll see some box scores, and we try to do summaries at least every other week of performances by those that have offers. Don't be surprised if you look up and he's just got a ton of games where he's in high 30s, 40s. Don't be shocked when you see it.
Yeah, he's definitely got that ability. There's no question about it. Let's kind of, before we wrap this one up, last thing we'll hit on, let's kind of tie in UNC on this a little bit. You mentioned that he got the offer from Carolina around June 22nd of this year, so not long ago at all. And you said you got a chance to kind of talk to his dad a little bit after he was offered by Carolina. So what did you get out of that conversation? Any insight you can give us on kind of where Carolina stands and how that kind of offer went down?
Yeah, there was a relationship in the past. Well, not really a relationship, but that kind of it was kind of two ships passing in the night. Well, Trey's dad, Richard, was doing some professional workouts, if I remember the story correctly, and Hubert was with the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
So they live in Dallas, and their paths had crossed there. So when they saw each other out on a recruiting trail this spring at EYBL, Richard approached Hubert and, said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but I was at your workout and all that." But obviously, a North Carolina offer, his words were, it just kind of rings differently when you get these blue blood offers, which tells me, his recruitment, it's either going to be a blue blood, one of the 4, or it's going to be Baylor, Texas.
Yeah, something in the state. Mm-hmm.
Texas, that's going to be the pressure. So, I'm just because you're North Carolina, I think it automatically puts you in a spot where, you've got an opportunity here. One thing that he said that he liked was how Hubert coached the NCAA tournament. And they've got a lot of mileage off this, but I thought he said one thing interesting, and this has been a topic of discussion, on our message boards on Four Corners, is the freedom that Caleb Love shot with in the NCAA tournament. And, it's had its critics, especially in the Kansas game. And you hear people will say, well, he shot North Carolina out of it. He was just shooting all at the time. And others say, well, look how well he played throughout the tournament. But it really resonates with recruits, especially in the backcourt, where, Mr. Johnson said he didn't yank him every time he missed a shot. He let him play. He let him have freedom. And a lot of times I'll hear recruits talk about a coach. Well, I like this because they play with freedom. And I'm like, have you watched this team play? I don't know about that. Players getting yanked in and out. set calls every time down a court. They're running some kind of set, walking it up. I don't see that. And, and I think a lot of people have noted on the board saying, look, Hubert let them play through mistakes. He didn't berate. He didn't yank them. They weren't looking over their shoulder constantly. They were playing with confidence. And I think that resonates with recruits and parents who know the game. He's got a father that played the game at a high level. He watched it and he understood that. And I think that's something that's stuck out. So if I had to say what's one thing Hubert Davis and North Carolina have done that gives them, I wouldn't say an advantage, but gives them an opportunity here, I would simply say the freedom that Hubert Davis lets his players play with, in particularly the backcourt guys like Caleb Love.
Yeah, I mean, just Carolina's NCAA. We've talked about it many a times, me and AJ, and I'm sure you and AJ have talked about it too, but Carolina's NCAA tournament run was a positive for so many reasons, not only next year's team, but like you've talked about, recruiting as well. And it was such a positive for Hubert Davis in his first year, who had some critics early on and had some doubters early on, but kind of proved as the year got on, and obviously proved it when they made that national championship run and were so close to winning it that, he is an elite coach. So no surprise that he's out there. I don't know if a little more confidence is the right word, but not afraid to go out there and get some of those top players and offer, I should say, some of those top players, not only close to them, close to home in G.G. Jackson, but in Dallas, Texas, and Tre Johnson too. So yeah, that run they made is just absolutely huge for Carolina recruiting.
They've had their, kind of spots that they've been comfortable with. Obviously up and down the East Coast. I mean, if you look at that, players they got in his first class, something they're very comfortable with. They've gone into Virginia, they've gone into New Jersey, and got guys, then they go into the Midwest, they go into Wisconsin, they got Chicago. Now they've just put a new offer out in Chicago, but they've really not gone west of the Mississippi River and looking there. Chicago was that's kind of course, the Wisconsin thing when they got Seth Trimble, you got to remember his brother played at UNC.
Yeah, JP Tokido, yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at all where they've been getting players out of, there's been the comfort zone so far of Hubert, in Chicago and up and down, the Eastern Seaboard. So now you're starting to see that what he offers, where they branch out. And I'm interested to see, if they keep going that direction. Because I'm telling you, the Dallas area, Texas is incredible in basketball. This is not a football state, but that Dallas Metroplex right now is absolutely loaded with talent. So, and I'm interested to see if they do that and even going farther, to the West Coast, see how that goes. Jason Asmode is another guy we're going to talk about out of Phoenix. They've not offered him yet. I think one will come. So, all this is going to be interesting as Hubert starts to expand the net.
Interesting time for Carolina recruitment. Fun time too, with just those 2024 offers starting to roll in all over the place. And Tre Johnson, 5-star 2024 shooting guard, being one of the latest for Hubert Davis and the Tar Heels. Good stuff, David. Enjoy this one as always, man. Guys, again, I think this is our 6th episode of the Scouting Report podcast series. If you guys want to go see the other episodes, 5 episodes we've done so far, just click on our YouTube channel below, hit that playlist tab towards the top, and you'll see a little playlist. I believe it's just called Scouting Reports or Scouting Report Podcast. Click on that and you'll find those on there, and you can kind of check out all the videos me and David have done, and we're going to continue to roll a few out as well. So looking forward to chatting with you about some future Carolina targets and offers here in the new future as well, David. But I've been Jacob Turner. He's been David Sisk. Head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Link is in the description below. Sign up, guys. You can be a Carolina Insider too for just $8.33 a month. AJ took over the site back in 2014, and that price has not changed since. So come join our awesome family here at Tar Heel Illustrated. Again, that's just $8.33 a month, and the link is in the description below. And you guys know it too. Check them out, rogueshop.com. Use that promo code TARHEELS10 to save, and a special shout out to the Rogue Shop for sponsoring this podcast. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell as well, so you know every time we upload, and we do upload a lot. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.